Good evening, traders, and welcome to Price Action Trading School Pivot Points. Today is 24th February, and we will continue with our Price Action Trading School. I hope that you had a successful day today. We had a nice pips on ODN and also on Euro Dollar, where if you read my last analysis on Euro Dollar, I predicted 1.0980 bounce. So exactly, it's happening. And I'm not sure that euro dollar will proceed to test upwards level, but I think the correction has started. So if you were in a trade, that would be a good thing to protect your profits now. As you can see, Price Action Training School is our standard webinar lesson. Those are standard webinar lessons, but I call it Price Action Training School because the school will last for the full year, after which we will start to actually trade what we have learned so far. So Price Action Training School is waiting for you guys to join and to trade, of course. As you probably can see, we are having a very good success with our trade setups, and most of it are based on on Camarilla MACD, and Price Action Trading School is a part of Practical Naked Trading, which was my previous method for charting and trading before actually Camarilla MACD taken place. So I wish you welcome for all of you who are new here, and for all who are old students. And let me give you a quick disclaimer, and we can continue. So online education materials are available by Markets Estonia for a global audience. So please take into consideration that information in this session is not suitable for everyone. If you want to get the corresponding information on charting conditions and any other details, you should visit Alman Markets Global, select your country, and contact an appropriate entity. Risk disclosure statement stating all possible risks associated with Forex market, but accepting the risk, you're also proceeding further with me. By logging into your trader's room, you can download Alman Market Supreme Edition. That will greatly help in your trading. Don't forget that you can also log into Web Trader, and if you're not close to your PC, Alman Markets has been officially best MT4 broker in UK. And that is all, guys, concerning risk disclaimers. So now we will proceed with our agenda. So structure of pivot points, types of pivot point indicators, okay, practical usage of pivot points, and what type of pivot point to use. So we will talk about this, okay? So what are basically pivot points? Pivot points are technical indicators that are used to determine important support and resistance levels, okay? Usually we say that pivot points are the average of high, low, and closing price from the previous day. And I must say I'm sorry for the sound, because in the background there will be some noises, because there are some there are some words that are taking place at the moment. So pivot points are the average of high, low, and closing price for the previous day. But there are also some other source of calculation that I will explain during this webinar. Okay? It's all usually we use pivot points to determine market sentiment, and they were originally used by flow traders. These are usually last sessions high, low, and close. Okay, so usually are calculated by sessions high, low, and close price. We take usually New York close time, that is 14:00 EST or 10:00 CEST. There are a lot of indicators which plot pivot points, and the advantage of Admiral Markets platform is that actually Admiral Markets platform is using the close of New York. That is excellent for calculating the pivot points. Okay, so that is excellent. Now this is the basic calculation of pivot points. Okay, take a look at this. So you have pivot point high plus low, close divided by 3. Then we have that is a pivot point. If you want to get first resistance, you will make this calculation 2 times pivot point minus low. Okay, so 2 times pivot point minus the low. So this always goes first because this operation, okay, product, it's always at the first place. First support is 2 times pivot point minus high, okay, and second resistance is pivot points plus high minus low. So these are calculation. But the most important thing in this calculation is to how to actually calculate the pivot point. So this is the original calculation of pivot point, and it's important for all of you that you understand first how to calculate basic pivot point, and then after that you actually calculate first, second, third resistance and supports. There are various types of indicators. Okay, so there are various types of indicators. Usually those are classic, Camarilla, D-Mark, pivot points, okay, Woody, Murray-Matt, Fibonacci. Okay, so there are a lot of different calculations where we can see actually different types of pivot points. Also, guys, important for you to know is that there are also other pivot point indicators, okay? And those other pivot point indicators are actually hourly pivot points, dynamic pivot points, manual pivot points, Camarilla, Bulkowski, AQ pivot points. Hourly pivot points are hourly pivot points is an indicator that is usually changing during hourly changes, and it's used in scalping for scalping purposes. Dynamic pivot points is the indicator that is used on intraday charts, and usually intraday price movements dynamically change pivots over the course of day. Manual pivot points are standard or classic pivot points that you calculate manually by using the indicator. Camarilla pivot points, we will have definitely a special price action training school webinar dedicated just to Camarilla. Then there is Bulkowski pivot points that is also very widely used. Bulkowski pivot points is actually one of standardized indicators for swing trading, and swing traders use it. I know that probably many of you are not familiar with Bulkowski patterns and Bulkowski pivot points, but it's important to say that Bulkowski is actually Bulkowski pivot points are used mostly, guys, for swing trading. So have that in mind, okay? So for swing trading. Okay, we also have, as I say, we have AQ pivot points. AQ pivot points are customized pivot points. So don't be, I think that you should not be confused with this, because it's only that those are customized pivot points. Okay, we have created it, and there are also other customized pivot point indicators that are available on the market, but most of all I prefer, of course, AQ pivot points for customized, and Camarilla pivot points for intraday to swing trading, because with Camarilla you can also do swing trading. Okay, you know that already, guys, right? You can also do swing trading with it. So it's for you, it's important for you to know. Now, pivot points are used to determine directional movement of the price. Okay, so remember this. So pivot points are used to determine directional movement of the price. We can assume where the price will go by looking at pivot points. Usually, if I will explain during the webinar, if the price is contained between support 1 and resistance 1, after the break of resistance and retest, we usually see the price proceeding to resistance 2, and vice versa for support. Pivot points mark support and resistance levels that are usually used in conjunction with our systems and methods for predicting the price movement and targets. When I say predictive, I mean that, and I think that pivot points are definitely leading indicators. I'm not sure that you know that, but if someone ever asks you, are pivot points leading or lagging, um, don't be confused with the question, because pivot points are predictive indicators. Okay, all predictive indicators are leading indicators. Okay, don't forget it. We cannot say that MACD is a leading indicator, because MACD is not predictive. MACD has already given us the trend for today or longer or higher time frame, so we cannot use MACD to actually give us to pinpoint where the price might turn. In contrary to pivot point indicators that are actually predictive. So when you put pivot points, you predict where the price will go during the next day, during the same day, or possibly during the next month. Now this is where it gets interesting. Pivot point calculation is not always the same. Pivot points for 1, 5, and 15-minute charts use the prior day's high, low, and close. Okay, so this is important. Pivot points for 1, 5, 15 minutes use prior day's high, low, and close. Pivot points for 30 minutes use the prior week's high, low, and closed. Okay, have in mind that those are based on calendar weeks. Okay, so when week starts, 30 and 60-minute pivot points are fixed for the remainder of the week. Okay, and pivot points for daily charts use previous month's data. Pivot points, for example, for February are based on high, low, and close for January. Okay, so this is interesting, right? So think of it when you're doing pivot point calculation. Don't forget that this is how pivot points are calculated. I will mention Fibonacci pivot points, and definitely Fibonacci pivot points are very good for intraday trading. And today I will show you actually also live chart of Fibonacci pivot points, and I will explain how you can what you can do later for your homework if you don't have Fibonacci pivot points indicator. Of course, guys, should I remind you that you can always ask for it? Send me an email, tarantulafx@gmail.com, and of course I will send you my Fibonacci pivot points for free. Okay, I will send you. So this is how Fibonacci pivot points are calculated. So it's a bit different than standard pivot point indicator, but it's also very accurate, and you will see that the reaction on Fibonacci pivot points is usually strong. Okay, it's usually strong reaction. So pivot point equals to high plus low plus close divided by 3. So here we have high and low and close divided by 3. So that is Fibonacci pivot point. Support one is P, or pivot point minus, and calculation. 0.382 times high minus low. Okay, so you can read this, you can snapshot it if you want, but I think this is pretty much clear to you, right? And mind you that Fibonacci pivot points are good for intraday trading, guys. So Fibonacci pivot points are good for intraday trading. Intraday trading is always very subjective, and because of that we use different calculations and different pivot point indicator. Okay, so it's important for you to remember that. Okay. Uh, Typical usage of pivot points is to identify the trend on higher time frames, watch reaction around those pivot points. Okay, we usually place entries at pivot points. We place stops at pivot points. Okay, we exit at pivot points, and usually pivot points are plotted on systems. It doesn't matter what kind of system you use, but those are plotted on usually on every system as additional indicator, predicting indicator. So you might actually take profit, scale out, scale in, or leave the profit going if you see that the price will break through intraday support and resistance levels. Okay, so this is the example of a Fibonacci pivot point indicator. It's easy to identify Fibonacci pivot point. Usually you will see in the indicator yesterday quotations, high, low, and close at the left corner. And these are the default colors of Fibonacci pivot point indicator. Okay, so again, guys, as I say, there are different pivot point indicators here. Okay, and the main purpose is to help you in your trading decisions. So that is the main purpose of pivot point indicators. Okay, so they should always help you in your trading decisions. Okay, okay, those are different types of pivot point indicators here, and don't forget that AQ pivot points are actually meant to definitely help you in both of your trading decisions. And if you trade with Admiral Markets, you can get AQ pivot points for free. Don't forget it. Okay, just by trading with Admiral Markets, of course. So don't forget about it. If you have Admiral Markets account, you need to open a new account, of course, and you will earn credits. And actually, Chris and I did it. So you can get AQ pivot points just by trading. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. Of course, it's in our best mutual interest that you win, okay, because you will use our referral link and earn credits for AQ pivot points. Now, okay, I already explained. Now this is Fibonacci pivot points that are also very, very good to trade. And finally, this is how Fibonacci pivot point look like. So now what you should be paying attention to when you're trading pivot points. I will bring up my chart. Okay, and actually I will put Fibonacci pivot point indicator. Okay, so usually Fibonacci pivot point indicator will look like this. Okay, Fibonacci will look like this, and if you observe how it looks, you can see that there is a pivot point level, that there is support 1, 2, and 3, and there is also resistance 1, 2, and 3. Let's bring, for example, pound dollar. You can usually see, and you will usually see that 1, 2, and 3 resistance are very, very strong resistance. Also, support 1, 2, and 3 are very strong. If you see that resistance or support 3 in this case has been broken, that indicates a really strong momentum and strong trend in the market, where you can easily identify this trend as a very bearish one. And actually, we might assume that the bearish trend will continue. So support 3 you see has been broken. Here it's been a close, but you see double top actually signifies a possible continuation of the trend. I'm not saying that it will happen right now, of course, because it's end of day, right? But the thing is that double top signifies, and here the break of support 3 signifies that bearish trend is really strong, and that the price might really struggle to actually go in to pivot point and higher. Because when you see pivot level, usually traders want to place trades close to pivot point level. Okay, usually traders want to place trades close to pivot point level. And if it's not possible, then traders want to see breakout of either support or resistance. So when you start your trading day, you will usually see that the price is opening in between pivot point and support. If you see that the first support has been broken before actually pivot point test, you might assume that the trend for that day will be bearish. Okay, so that is how usually uh, standard teaching on pivot points has taught us actually that when you trade pivot points, when you see a daily open, you usually want to see whether the price is open below pivot point or above pivot point. If it opens below pivot point, we usually assume that the price will be bearish for the whole day, and vice versa if the price opens above pivot point. New trades are usually placed very close to pivot points, or can be also placed if support or resistance levels are broken. Okay, so that is where we usually place our pivot point indicator. Also, what is important to know is that we usually use pivot points to measure the retest. So here in this example, we can see that the pound has broken to support 1, and suddenly it retested it here and continued in trend direction. So we can identify that as a potential retest. We call it a retest. Here, breakout, retest, continuation from this part. Here, and you can find it here also. See, the price has broken to support 1, retested the support, and continued in main trend direction. Okay, so you can see it here. Also, you can use it on every other pair. You can see now that euro dollar, okay, it opened below pivot, okay, it opened slightly below, right? So you can see where the price is going. It went down, it retested pivot point, it went to support, support has been retested, then it went down to support 3, and look at the accuracy at Fibonacci pivot points. Exactly at support 3, it started to bounce, and it actually ended up now at resistance 1. Now, if this is a retest, I wouldn't be surprised that actually euro dollar goes straight up. Okay, I really wouldn't be surprised. It's actually a full price action now. Price action is gaining momentum, so we might see some. It's also end of day, so we might see some further upside action from euro dollar. Okay, but it needs to break resistance 1. If it goes with a momentum break, we usually assume that the price will test resistance 2. Okay, so it's important for you to know, because in forex market, especially in day trading, pivot points are usually a must. Here you can see pound dollar. Okay, so we assume that bearish trend will prevail over maybe next couple of days, but we need to measure where we will short the price. Dollar yen, okay, here see the dollar yen, the price opened below pivot point here, it went to support, then to pivot point level, retested the pivot point level, and went straight to the upside. Also dollar CAD, you see the price opened above pivot point, it went to resistance 1, it retested pivot point level, and actually went to resistance 2. So usually there is a pro tip, how I usually say, if you see that the price opens at midnight below pivot point, you might assume that the trend will be bearish for the majority of the day, and if it opens above pivot point, we might assume that the price will be bullish for the remainder of the day. You can find a lot of these examples here. You can find also here Australian dollar. See, there is pivot point, price open below pivot point, and usually I look at 1 hour time frame. You see it went to support, broke down, retested support 2, went to support 3. Now you see it's trying to retest support 3, but actually momentum is also strong on Australian dollar. Euro AUD, okay, it opened above pivot point, of course, it went up. You see, now tell me guys, does it look interesting to you? I think this looks really interesting that you can actually try to predict the trend by but just by looking at pivot point open and close. Uh, uh, yeah, very interesting. Thank you for your comments. Thank you. I really think that this is very interesting for you, and it can really help you your trading decisions. And I hope that you will really find a good use for these pivot points, because actually by using pivot points uh, you actually go with the floor traders who originally developed pivot points. Okay, so actually I think that this can be a very useful to you. Okay. Also, it's important to say that when you make up towards your target, you should never try to actually uh, keep it true to your target, because you really want to keep it true, as targets can usually change during the day, during the night, and you don't want to overtrade. You don't want to put some unnecessary trades. So pay close attention to your potential targets. Okay. Also, what is important to state is that actually by using Fibonacci pivot points or any other pivot points, of course, you will use what majority of traders use, and that will signify that your trade is actually more powerful than if you hadn't used it. Pivot points, because I know that a lot of traders simply want to trade naked without any pivot point indicators, but I actually find it very useful to be used for day trading. Let's take a look at euro dollar, for example. Yes, it was bearish. It opened at pivot point, but when it went down here, it went to support. You see, but because this is V-shaped reversal and all these levels are broken, we actually might see a resistance to hit, but we need a price to break through this candle, and this will be the ultimate test of euro dollar resistance 3, where I also expect that the price might turn. If you remember my previous euro dollar coverage, I said that you can go long on actually on euro dollar. And let me find you the analysis. I will show you. I predicted that the price will actually bounce from 1.0980. I will show you the analysis. Here, let me give you a quick. Here, this was the analysis on euro dollar using Camarilla pivots also, but look at this. POC was at 1.0980. Okay. See, next bounce is expected. Now, if we see a huge momentum, yeah, 1.1370 is the target, but we really need to see huge momentum, because we already got into a good entry here. Now we want to see whether the price will break all those pivot points to the upside. I'm not saying it will, but there is a possibility, if this continues going up, that the price will indeed go test these levels here. Okay guys, so this is basically what pivot points were about. If you have any question now, you can ask me. If you want to get a Fibonacci pivot point indicator, just send me an email, and definitely I will send it over to you. Don't be confused with the pivot points. If you have any further question, guys, just ask me. Okay, just ask me. I'm here to help you. So don't hesitate to send me an email. If you have any questions, just send me an email. Ilya is saying, could you repeat the slides? I make video with Samsung phone. Yes, but I will also upload this webinar tomorrow. So these are the slides. And guys, use the time now to actually ask some questions if anything is not clear. Here you can see, I will go step by step. Okay, step by step. Calculation of pivot point. Type of pivot point indicators. Other type of pivot point indicators. Pivot points again. Fibonacci pivot points. Okay, guys, just send me an email. Don't type your email. Guys, don't type your email on the screen because you need to send me actually your email. Let me. Now I will answer questions. Just give me a few seconds. Skirmantas, please send me an email on tarantula@gmail.com. Okay, so send me an email. Ron, send me an email. Jack is asking, why do you tend to favor Camarilla? Jack, when I first heard about Camarilla, I actually got the information that Camarilla was used by big banks. And I've known of Camarilla since the year of 2008. So for the last 8 years, I've been really studying Camarilla, how it behaves, and actually that's my answer. I'm not sure, I don't know if the banks really are favoring Camarilla, but I certainly do. Graham, who do I contact at Admiral to get AQ pivot points? Graham, you don't need to contact anyone. What you need to do is send me an email and I will explain how you can get it for free. But you might need to open a new account with Admiral Markets so we can, by using our referral link. Okay, so that way when you trade you will earn credits based of course on your volume traded. So it doesn't matter, right, if you lose or win, but our best interest is that you actually win in the market. Okay, so send us an email and we will get you an explanation. Graham is saying, what is your email address? I have a live account. I sign up to Chris. Well, actually, that is it. The same. Chris and I do it. So basically, if you signed up through Chris, then you actually use our referral link and just send us the question about your current credits, whatever, and we will be glad to answer it. Okay, just send us an email. So you already open the account, yeah, no problems. Nat is asking, what is on Pivot Point Advanced? Pivot Point Advanced will actually show you how to trade false breakouts by using pivot points. So you will learn how to actually spot a false breakout by using pivot points. Okay, so that is the question, that is the answer. Henry, do you have any example that shows a swing trade using pivot points? Well, actually, Henry, I do have it, but I'm not sure that I have it now. What I do, for example, I place my Camarilla pivot points. Well, I have a lot of examples. Just watch my, try to watch my session recap webinars. Session recap webinars will definitely show you a lot of examples for using swing points. Okay, for example, dollar CAD trade. If you remember, I told you to go short at 38.85, right? And we actually saw some good setups. Okay, very close to our level. So this could be also your short from 38.60 if you had taken a trade at the double top here, or also a potential swing trade could have been my short on pound dollar, 40.50 breakout. So I usually use Camarilla pivot points. So because Camarilla pivot points are good for both swing and intraday. Ilya is saying you use Camarilla and MACD. Yes, it's my method, Camarilla MACD. Do you offer lessons? Ilya, the thing is, Chris and I did something very good for both you and us, of course, in Admiral Markets. You can get every single system or method for free with our explanation on live Skype sessions just by trading with Admiral Markets. So instead of you giving us the money for that, we actually want you to trade. Okay, we want you to trade, and we want you to trade successfully. That way, everyone is happy. You don't need to pay for anything that we offer as the course, and you should definitely open a new account with Admiral Markets using our referral link. Yes, new one. So just send me an email and we will get you a referral link. Okay, so that won't be hard. Wigentus is asking, will be fine if you can explain how to use options and future levels. Yes, maybe in some of our next webinars. And guys, now you see that actually it's really of our best interest that you make money. That is why I will really me and Chris we will be helping you to actually make pips and money with trading. Okay, so this is it. Okay, please guys, practice this a lot. Your homework will be to plot any pivot point indicator and observe the action around pivot point, because pivot point will usually show some action. That will be your homework. If you want to open new Admiral account with us, just send us an email and we will get you signed in. You just continue to trade as you already do, and you will earn credits, of course. And I really want that you take these lessons seriously, because when we finish with Price Action Training School, we will be actually trading it together, right? So thank you for listening. Okay, thank you for being here with us. We wish you a great day, and I wish you really a huge number of pips. So long. We will talk to you soon. Cheers and trade safe.